Hi, this is Dean Miller back with another video of the significance of the life of Jesus. This is in Matthew chapter 17, verses 14 through 21. Jesus heals a demon-possessed boy. Once again, this is in the NLT Bible. At the foot of the mountain, a large crowd was waiting for them. A man came and knelt before Jesus and said, "Lord, have mercy on my son. He has seizures and suffers terribly. He often falls into the fire or into the water. So I brought him to your disciples, but they couldn't heal him." Jesus said, "You faithless and corrupt people, how long must I be with you? How long must I put up with you? Bring the boy here to me." Then Jesus rebuked the demon in the boy, and it left him. From that moment on, the boy was well. After the disciples asked Jesus privately, "Why couldn't we cast out that demon?" You don't have enough faith," Jesus told them. "I'll tell you the truth. If you had a faith even as small as a mustard seed, you could say to this mountain, 'Move from here to there,' and it would move. Nothing would be impossible." So verses 14 through 16, it says, "At the foot of the mountain, a large crowd was waiting for them. A man came and knelt before Jesus and said, 'Lord, have mercy on my son. He has seizures and suffers terribly. He often falls into the fire or into the water. So I brought him to your disciples, but they couldn't heal him.'" So everywhere Jesus was going now, there was going to be a large crowd following him. And they were waiting at the foot of this mountain after Jesus went up with Peter, Paul, and James for the transfiguration. They were waiting at the bottom of this mountain for him to come back. So you see this father kneels down before Jesus and says, "Lord, have mercy on my son." And he addresses Jesus with this title of respect. This man was persistent and he didn't give up. Even after his disciples couldn't heal his son, he waited for Jesus to come down this mountain. It's okay to ask Jesus for help when all else fails. Sometimes medicine, doctors, and shrinks can't do the kind of healing that we need. And this boy was having seizures and was suffering intensely, and he would fall into fires and water. So seizures in Greek mean moonstruck, unable to act or think normally, insane or loony. You know how people say that when there's a full moon out, the crazies come out and things start happening? So this boy's behavior is similar to epilepsy, but the context makes it clear this boy's destructive behavior, falling into the fire and water, is due to an influence of a demon. Like I was saying, while Jesus was up on the mountain with Peter, James, and John, the other 9 disciples failed to draw out this demon when the Father brought his son to them. So verses 17 through 18, Jesus says, "You faithful and corrupt people, how long must I be with you? How long must I put up with you? Bring the boy here to me." Then Jesus rebuked the demon in the boy and left him. From that moment on, the boy was well. So these disciples had been given authority to do the healing back in the earlier chapters of Matthew in the name of Jesus, but they had not yet learned how to appropriate the power of God. Jesus gives them a hard rebuke, and this was directed at these 9 disciples. They had been called out by Jesus for their lack of faith many times, but you see here Jesus calls these disciples faithless and corrupt people. He's lumping them together with Israel and its hypocritical leaders. And he calls them corrupt, or in the NIV they call them perverted, which means make crooked or mishappen. It implies that these people are corrupt and distorted to the point that they're no longer useful. But they failed miserably because their lack of dependence of his power, just like the future failure of Israel. So Jesus was frustrated with these disciples, and his purpose wasn't to criticize the disciples, but to encourage them to have greater faith. And Jesus points out the reality of the world we see today. Who doesn't trust or believe in God? The world is twisted. Their whole view of God is different than believers. Then Jesus commands them to bring the boy here, and the boy was brought to him. And Jesus uses the power of his word, rebuking the demon, who obeyed immediately. So this demon left his body immediately after Jesus spoke his words. Even though Jesus was the Messiah, he had given the disciples the same power and authority that he had, but their lack of faith caused them to fail. And this frustrated Jesus. You imagine being with these people for almost 3 years and they watch you do something every day and they continue to just fail? But that's all humankind. We all do that every day too. So it shows that these disciples are humans just like we are. So verses 19 through 21 says, "You don't have enough faith," Jesus told them. "I tell you the truth, if you had faith even as small as a mustard seed, you could say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it would move. Nothing would be impossible. So you see, this bothered the disciples that they had to ask Jesus in private, why couldn't we cast out this demon? And Jesus grabs their attention by saying, you don't have enough faith. He says, I tell you the truth, which he always says, which means that this is the absolute truth, that their faith was so tiny it was almost non-existent. Even a faith as small as a mustard seed would be enough to move this mountain. Pointed to the one he just came down, from here to there it would move. So he's using this mountain as a reference, the one he just came down. And if such limited faith could give a follower of Jesus the same power he had exercised with his words, then the same power would be available to the follower to command a demon to leave a boy. Even with this limited faith in God's infinite power, nothing would be impossible for you. It's not the quantity of the faith, but it's the quality. So it's not about how much faith you have, it's the quality of your faith. How much do you actually believe? If you believe that God can do anything without any doubt, then he can do it. In verse 21, they leave it out of the NLT Bible and the NIV Bible, but in the King James Version, it says, however, this kind does not go out except by prayer and fasting, which means that kind of demon. So prayer attaches us to God, and fasting detaches us from ourselves. When we deny ourselves and pray earnestly to God with true intentions, when within God's will, we can make all things that seem lost turn into a miracle, right? I mean, that's what a miracle is. It's something that we know that cannot be corrected. And if we put our full, true, honest trust in God, he can take these prayers that we do with good intentions and make them move mountains. I mean, if he can speak word into existence or speak things into existence, then what do you think he can do? He can fix or change anything he wants, as long as it's within his will. Now, he may not answer our prayer because there's another teaching that we're going to get from it. You know, he might have another point to prove, but if it's within his will and we ask him, he's going to fulfill that question that we have. So some of the key points in here is faith of a mustard seed. A mustard seed is one of the smallest seeds there is. And we need not to let go of our own efforts and to rely instead on God's power. We cannot do it on our own. We need Jesus' authority. We choose to act without God's power, we become useless to him. When we choose that, we become useless. We lack that faith. We lack the ability to have true faith, and our ability gets affected by getting in our own way, and we cannot do God's work, and which is to advance his kingdom. These disciples, we don't know what their issue was. Maybe they were jealous because they weren't up on top of that mountain with the other three, or they might have been ridiculed by these religious leaders and these crowds that were following Jesus around. Or maybe they got complacent because Jesus was gone. We tend to do the same. We back down from crowds who don't believe. We kind of shy away. We get jealous of others for some of the faith and some of the things that they can do. And we're strong in our faith on Sunday mornings when we're in them four walls of the church. But during the week, when we kind of let our Jesus' presence fade in our busy lives, causing us to slip. So maybe they just felt pressure from the crowds and pressure from all the things that were going on, just like we do in life. The second point is Jesus' presence will give us hope. So this father waited till Jesus come down the mountain with the hope that Jesus was the answer to his problem. The disciples couldn't fix his son, and he wanted his son fixed so bad, he loved him so much, that he actually waited for Jesus to come down the mountain. Now everything that turned crazy was calmed down by Jesus' words. When you stand next to or walk with Jesus with true faith, even demonic spirits will flee from his words. Maybe this boy was attempting to commit suicide when he was throwing himself into the fire and this water. It shows that this mental state could be controlled by a demon who was trying to cause self-affliction. So when we feel the stresses of life building up on us to a breaking point, and we start getting those dark thoughts, don't allow that demon to take over your thinking and cause you to take your own life. Have a good foundation in Jesus. Find Jesus. Read this Bible. Talk to somebody. Talk to a Christian or talk to a counselor or something. These words in this Bible is probably the best weapon against demonic powers of this world. Jesus is that great doctor that can fix all your problems if you just kneel down and worship him. Do what you can. Don't take your own life. If you start feeling yourself slipping away, get into this book, talk to a pastor, or start going to church and pray. Pray to God. I promise you, he'll help you feel better. And persistence will show you how to find that hope. That's the third point. Don't give up on Jesus. If you don't hear nothing from him, don't give up. Connect with God in heaven by praying and fasting and spending time in the Word. That'll guide you to that hope. Ask Jesus for help. Cry out to Jesus. When you think all is lost, we need to find Jesus and call out for him with open hearts and open arms. His words will comfort you and give you rest from your problems. Jesus says nothing will be impossible for you. Biblical faith will tap into God's power and his authority, and when it's within his will, biblical faith assumes that not only is there a belief that you believe in God's power, but you pursue a heart after God's own heart. Ask for things from God, not what's best for you. Don't pray for things for money and stuff like that ain't going to make a difference in your life. God knows what's good for you. We don't. But we never give up. If you don't hear from God, don't quit believing in him. Use the comforting words of Jesus to drive you closer to God and have a childlike faith. Never think you can do it on your own. Don't over-exaggerate your own abilities. Outside of God, we don't have any abilities to do things on our own. Because when we do this, we underestimate God's abilities. And if God can speak this world into existence by his word, what do you think his word can do for us? If he can make everything that was in this world, all he has to do is whisper in your ear some peaceful things, and it'll ease your mind. Trust me, when you find Jesus, it ain't gonna make things easier in life, but I guarantee you'll feel better. You'll feel different. You'll have that joy. Have persistent faith. Don't give up. Be like this father. If you really want something truly in your heart, something that's really going to mean something to you, ask Jesus and ask God for it. I guarantee you that he'll look out for you. In the scheme of things, you might not see it now, but in the scheme of things later down the road, he will. Like Garth Brooks said, some of God's greatest gifts are unanswered prayers. Because I've prayed for some things in my life that I know would have made my life a lot different now looking back at it. And God knew what was best for me, and he put me down the right path. So, like I said, don't over-exaggerate your own abilities, and don't underestimate what God can do for you. Thank you for listening to my video. Please subscribe to my channel on YouTube. Please comment in the comment section. Share my videos. That's the way we can get the word out. And I just want everyone to make a commitment this year for the New Year's is commit something for God. Commit going to church. You can give them an hour a week. Or start reading some of the Bible. Or if anybody's interested in doing a Bible study with me or something, message me or give me a call. And I'll set up some time where we can discuss things about God. Even if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or an hour. I'm here for anybody who wants to listen. Thank you. Amen.